Ladies and gentlemen, we're 50% through, but there is more to come. Much more, in fact. And we're going to witness two teams that have yet to enter the stage for today. It is the A-Team that has looked oh so good in those playoffs last time. And SPT, I mean, they're the current champions of China after all.
They are. They're consistent. They are pretty much always the best. But you can't count out the A-Team. They have returned. And like you said, last time in the playoffs, they put on quite the performance, running it all the way up. Excuse me, hiccups. From basically last place all the way up to one match away from the finals. And they don't actually have a roster change either. They only have name changes, with Stukov becoming Stugos and Kaitu becoming are we pronouncing it Yitzkuk or what? Yitzkuk, or how are we pronouncing it?
I think It's Cook is fine. That sounds very natural to me. It's Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cooking.
It's cooking, yeah.
It's an annoying name, is what it is.
Would you go from Kaitu, which was so cute and so unique, to It's Cook? Maybe he's got a deeper spiritual meaning connected to this nickname, so we should be the ones judging. But yeah, Stugos is definitely cool to see, because whenever players are named after heroes in-game, right, it gets a little confusing. We all know that by now if you've watched HGC China. But here, this team, the only team without any player swaps, player changes up to this point. It is Lucky, the newest member, and his boys with SPT, and facing them is the A-Team this time around.
Indeed, and like we said, they have the exact same roster. So it's nice to see them return here. And in terms of the rosters, once again, SPT, they're sticking with also the same roster. So these two teams completely unchanged, actually. Yeah. So we didn't know the A-Team were unchanged because of name changes. So now we do know that, so hooray. These two, their previous matchups, SPT have come out ahead basically every single time. We actually got to ask SPT about Lucky when it came to the Eastern Clash. Like getting him on the board, why they brought Lucky on, and he changed because they asked him to, basically. But they asked like how well he was fitting into the team. They replied with, Lucky is a very funny guy, and he's like a light-hearted voice that the team really needs, and he fits into the draft well.
There we go. Sounds like the perfect match. So SPT, I mean, they did fare very, very well with Lucky. They became champions of China, getting the biggest share of the prize pool after all, and also made it to the Eastern Clash. So win-win situation for them. Up to this point, though, the question remains, Tetcher. How much has A-Team improved? How much of that momentum that they were able to build up in the playoffs last time are they going to be able to carry into this?
Let's find out, as we're starting off on Sky Temple. SPT, I don't remember their score on this map. I will find that quickly. But if I remember correctly, I don't think they had a too good of a win rate on it last time.
Yeah, it's definitely not their Battlefield of Eternity. It's definitely not their Dragonshire, you know, which they looked absolutely undominable on. So, yeah, actually, we have a pretty, like, if you consider it, Tetcher, like, out of all the battlegrounds available, these teams actually choose to go for pretty much almost the exact same ones.
Yes, Sky, they are 1-3 on it since they have brought on Lucky. It's their second worst win rate map. Okay, do you know what their first is?
Their worst win rate map?
Their worst win rate map with this roster.
Who, for SPT? I don't know, is it Braxis?
It is not. Braxis, they have a 100% win rate on.
Oh, there we go. So what could it be? Infernal?
No, Infernal is 78%.
Then I'm running out of guesses.
Yeah. It is Towers of Doom with 0%.
Wow.
0 and 4.
I think I remember them playing against CE there a couple of times and actually not looking too good.
Yeah, it seems to happen against them. But now, though, we head into the draft, and they're starting off with a white maid! What did I tell you? I predicted exactly the team.
Amazing.
It's going to get played. The A-Team are going to do well with it, but lose, and then it's going to be bad again because you're like, whew, that was close.
Oh, man, Tetcher. So do you think it's SPT underestimating their opponents and saying, like, you know what? We're going to let them have white maid and see how it goes because we don't think A-Team has what it takes to beat us with it? Or do you think it's just them not respecting the hero altogether?
I'm assuming they're just a little bit scared of the Illidan that the A-Team brought out a little bit at a little bit during the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's a little weird to ban it then. First pick, first rotation Illidan? I don't know what Illidan white main's like. How's that?
That's a good question. But I fully agree with you. Like white main, like not banning white main and therefore banning an Illidan in the first rotation, that's almost unheard of. So they must have more inside information than us, right? They probably have scrimmed against those guys a lot. They probably have data from other teams who scrimmed against them. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and we get to see white main, which I'm definitely not going to complain about.
Me neither. I don't know her talents off by heart. I've tried playing her myself. I'm not very good at white main. I so far haven't really figured out the playstyle that suits me the best. So need more practice with that. So now the question is, what are they going to run with it? Any kind of CC is good, helps you land that lash to get more healing for the rest of the team. So they obviously still need a main tank, which neither team has picked up yet. And they solo lane it to deal with the Blaze.
Very true. So with Malthael out of the picture, there's still a new rel that they could pick up. But they choose to actually let that soul inner, you know, just leave it out of the picture for now and wait for the last pick to pick it. I mean, white main, you brought it up, Tetra. I think is probably one of the harder supports to make work decently well. She's very situational, so you really have to keep a keen eye on what is going on around you. There's, once again, like we mentioned, there's two builds, right, that you can go for. One of them focus on Inquisition, and the other one focuses on the Q. Now, ooh, okay, ETC and Zeratul.
So,
what?
That's a lot of frontline for the hammer.
Yeah.
Do they have enough damage to blow anyone up if it's a mosh pit? It's Sky Temple. I guess it's probably stage dive.
This
just for the
could
global.
be a stage dive, especially now that we see Dahaka in the mix as well. So you have some sort of counter global. And ETC, I mean, he's a good peeling tank, right? He has that knockback, as you said. He has a lot of CC available. But I'm failing to see the battle plan here. No real follow-up after the VP. Not really a wombo combo setup either. So are they just going to try to brute force their way through this SPT with, you know, superior individual class? Or do they have something on the table that we fail to see yet? I'm liking the draft of A-Team more. I'm not going to lie.
The draft of A-Team is definitely more standard. The draft of SPT, they have good single target blow up with Zeratul, obviously. I assume it's going to be stage dive. So I assume this is just like a disruption while Zeratul blows people up and Hammer is just consistent damage, allowing Zeratul to... dropping people low enough for Zeratul to finish. That's
but then again, they're facing a white man with the Aegis. You pop the 40 armor onto nearby targets, and you have formidable burst damage protection too, right?
You do. This is true. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The Aegis should protect, but it's still a reactionary thing where... I don't know. White main, I have the theory of, is she going to be able to drop the Aegis in time for a Zeratul blow up?
And that's the question. Or is she actually going to get imprisoned into the Void Prison, right? So if you isolate someone and you have white main in the VP, you can actually blow someone up before she even gets the chance to cast the Aegis. So either way, guys, it's going to be a very interesting lineup. You know, SPT, they brought a little something special to the table. With the exception of, I would say, you know, the Blaze and the Sergeant Hammer, they definitely brought a little something unique. Whereas on the other hand, the A-Team, they brought us white main for the first time in China. So a clash of styles, standard against something unique. I can't wait to kick the things off in this game.
Neither can I. Let's find out how this goes as we are heading into game number 1 of our 4th series of the day. And on the left-hand side, it is Super Perfect Team with Lucky, Melody C, Misaka, Soap, and ZZH.
Facing them is the A-Team with Jaina, Olele, Stugos, Itzcube, and Bruiser.
We, once again, as we already mentioned, have that white main. And we're starting off with the very standard Q build. We do see variations sometimes, going with Clemency, which basically gives you a out-of-fight healing for free. But instead, we're sticking with Martyrdom this time, which increases the Desperate Plea healing by 33%, aka a third, for each stack of Desperation you have.
At level 4, of course, the follow-up towns, you can also sometimes see a couple of towns being chosen. You have the Unwavering Faith, which is basically more building into the Q. by reducing the mana cost, which is pretty sweet, and also granting her a self-shield capabilities. And High Inquisitor sometimes also gets picked to basically, reduce the mana cost and reset everything once you drop the Inquisition. So Whiteman by no means a stale character up to this point, but a character that we're definitely going to see here for the first time. And she needs to keep track, of her desperation stacks, because the more she builds up, the more mana she's going to consume. And she's probably one of the most susceptible heroes of becoming out of mana.
Indeed, due to that basically being her entire mechanic, as you already mentioned. As we are seeing new habits for the Blaze, he does need to potentially rotate 2 lanes here, maybe with Zeratul, or at least help out with the Merc camp. This seems to be what's happening, with both teams rotating a 2-man to mid and bot.
Yeah, very true. Really cool to see the Zeratul here for the first time. And also, look at who's playing it. It's Lucky, too. We probably didn't really catch on that. So Lucky kind of shifting away from what his traditional role is and instead going for the melee flex. Really, really interesting. I usually think that ranged assassins are probably, with the exception maybe of CE and Juyu, are probably the most stable roles. Very rarely do you see a ranged assassin player, shy away and become a melee.
This is true. So it is a little bit unusual to see here, but this is what we have. With Lucky on that means Melody C on the tank, which he is a little bit more experienced with, so I can accept that, at least for the moment.
Misaka holding the lane here, trying to, keep the minions distracted for as long as possible, so he saves health on his structures. And as we said plenty of times already, structure health is key on Sky Temple. Stugo's actually gladly tanking some of that minion damage. He can, of course, then go back to base anyways, because he's relatively low in mana. Like, if you're sitting at 50% health on Whitemane, that's actually considered to be low on mana already if a longer teamfight is going to break out.
Yeah, we do have that unwavering faith coming in here for the Whitemane, giving that mana cost reduction.
And the shield, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, like I said, we see the reduced cooldown on the flames by Blaze. This is to combo very well with that level 7 crossfire, so you can be able to spam that out a little bit more. And Behemoth armor coming in for Raynor on the other side.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys watched the Dignitas vs. Fnatic game on the weekend, which was amazing, by the way. You should definitely check out the VODs if you haven't watched it. Like, Zeli in that one game where he played the Whitemane, he became, he went for this exact same build up to this point, right? And he was so tanky. Fnatic tried so hard to take him down several times. And actually, I even thought they had him, several times. But for some reason, with that self-shielding, with that consistent healing provided and the low cooldowns on her Q, he somehow, some way stayed alive and actually won the team fights simply by tanking through it. So let's see if Stugos on the A-Team can do the exact same thing.
We'll have to see indeed. For now, though, Yitzcook has to pull back a bit there, as he took a small amount of damage from Melody C, and by a small amount, I mean all of it. So he has to be removed here to get some health back, as he actually is looking to wrap around the side, maybe try and grab someone out of position. Unable to do so, though. Instead, though, the A-Team, they will take at least some of the remaining shots in this top lane.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. You better take some value of it, especially after pushing through with your minions and mercenaries before that. I think Itzcook might try to get a combo onto the ETC. He's already trying to position himself more to a potential flight path. Now Raynor's in the mix. Jaina gets another slow on him, and the A-Team walks away with first blood against the reigning Chinese champions.
They do, but in the meantime, Melody C sneaks away a fort in that mid lane. He's going to have to boost away, though. But I guess Garrosh is here. What's he going to do? I'm going to throw you into my... Oh, wait. But in the meantime, the rest of the A-Team, they do take control of top lane as well. They finish off the fort that was weakened by the temple. So overall, even trade, and we are seeing the intercession coming in from Whitemane. Not going with one of the other talents we saw in some of the other regions, the Fanatical Power.
Yeah, I think up to this point, I mainly saw Fanatical Power being picked almost on all other Whitemane players. But the Intercession, what it does is you can activate it to make an ally unstoppable. And you also gain 1 stack of Desperation, though, so your mana cost will be increased. But you gain a pretty awesome cleanse, which is always good, especially against all that CC that the enemy team has, with ETC and Blaze and Decker Kane, most importantly.
It's cleanse, but it's cleanse that also enables you to be healed. Jaina is dying, but quick heal up there, surviving at least for the moment. Zeratul back in with the Vorpal Blade, and a huge power slide comes in, and Misaka picks up a kill with Lucky cleaning up the Whitemane.
And that's the problem. Itzcook, he's busier trying to hold the mercenary platform than actually taking care of the backline. Here goes the boss. It still has aggro. And he gets the kill. Oh,
eventually,
boy.
there we go. Finish him off. And that is a full team wipe at the 5.5 minute mark as they burn down the boss. SPT with a fantastic opening.
All right, the damage is still rather low, though, but look at that. The enemy heroes of the A-Team are only now respawning, so although it is kind of risky sometimes to take this early boss, right, in that case, when the enemies literally died right next to it within quick succession, it's just basically a present on a silver platter, and you definitely want to pick that one up. So, great damage onto the backline, and Tetra, as you said, here is the stage dive, baby. So we're going to have more backline pressure, and the A-Team, this is a pretty hefty blow, I'm not going to lie, because look at the timing as well. Bottom temple, boss, Sergeant Hammer, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, that's going to be slightly problematic for the A-Team. This bot lane is going to get absolutely dominated here. How far are they willing to push with this, though? Boss is already down to half health, so I don't expect much further.
Yeah. You see Melody C now in hover mode, once again on Sergeant Hammer, sneaking his way into a good position. Nope. Reveals himself. They're going to take even more Siege Giants away from the A-Team, who are now finally level 10. What is White Mane going to pick here? It is going to be the Aegis, indeed, the Scarlet Aegis. So whenever she activates that, nearby allied heroes will get 40 armor, which is pretty insane, and also a little bit of, a little bit of healing.
Now 40 armor especially is such a huge deal. Going to be able to keep everyone nice and healthy, at least for the moment. There's the Lash. Quick use of it on the wave clear. It's not the highest wave clear ability, but it's something.
It's a little something. It has a fairly low cooldown. It has no mana cost whatsoever, so feel free to use it on minions whenever you can. But yeah, Olele on that Rainer and his boys, they're trying to make something happen on the Sergeant Hammer, but great peeling, great protection by Misaka. He's gonna give his life here. See you.
Yeah, he's alive. Yeah, he's able to power. He's able to stage dive away, so he does live, at least for the moment. Early see the quick knockback on the water elemental, preventing any more chase. And SPT, they all escape.
And Tetris, this was a 4 versus 5 basically, or 3 versus 5 for the most part, because A-Team tried really hard to get a kill there, and they almost succeeded in doing so. But guess what they didn't do? They weren't soaking, they weren't paying attention to Zeratul, who was pushing the bottom lane yet again. Now, only now is Dehaka walking there as well. So SPT, man, superior play in terms of global rotations, and also in terms of team fighting up to this point. They're reigning supreme.
They are in control. The question is, how long can they hold on to this? As we do see that consistent pressure being added by SPT. They grab the Merc camp of A-Team, mirror it. But SPT, they continue to push, whereas the A-Team, they look to posture for an objective and then realize, oh, there's a lot of people up here.
Yep, and now with that 13 advantage, SPT can actually allow themselves to maybe go in there a little more aggressively. They're using the mercenaries here to their advantage. The anti-magic aura is still definitely going to help Melody C, especially against Jaina. The knockbacks will do just fine against someone like Garrus as well. But look at Dehaka. He's probably trying to get a little bit of value from the top, from the bottom temple. The kind of sticky situation that A-Team finds themselves in is basically the fact that they're already behind the structures. So if they share temples, if they split them up 1-1, sure, they're not going to lose much in terms of team fighting, but they're also not going to gain anything because that structural advantage that SPT has already is only going to get expanded.
This is a full Q build coming in for Blaze, by the way. So much poke potential from Soap. So I don't even know what the level 13 one does, actually. I need to check. Oh, no, wait, that's a pressing fire. Yes, I do know what that one does. Hooray. So, makes sense against Jaina. Just ping her over and over again. Get burst damage, get poke, get ability power reduction. So yeah, neat. Cool to see.
Cool to see indeed. Let's see what SPT can do with this Zeratul, by the way, played by Lucky. For the first time we see him on a melee hero. Already pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect him to wreak that much havoc in the backline of the A-Team. Those VPs so far have been really good. The cleaves have been even better. And White Mane, although she is a pretty feared hero in China up to this point, she was banned in every single series, doesn't really seem to be able to make a difference here. At level 13, she went for the harsh discipline, by the way, which is The Searing Lash empowerment after hitting an enemy hero, they're being targeted. That was targeted by Inquisition, excuse me. They're also rooted for a pretty significant amount of time. Here comes the VP.
And all caught in the stun. The Aegis lands, but it's not even close to enough to keeping everyone alive. Blaze timing his charge perfectly. Olele dies.
Wow.
Too lucky. And that was yet another massacre by Super Perfect Team.
SPT, man. The champions are taking no prisoners today, Tetcher. They had an immaculate combo, and we were wondering, they don't really have a wombo combo lineup in the classic sense, right? But boy, oh boy, did they prove us wrong, or at least me wrong here, because I was very, hesitant to believe in their composition. But man, if you execute it like that, with the BFG and the stage type hitting, connecting just in time, you're just melting the enemy team.
They are indeed, and right now with this boss being taken, we're going to see the A-Team beginning to move down into the lower lanes. How well can they do this? Quick cap on that camp. It's another boss. Zeratul is hovering around outside the area. He does not have Void Prison yet.
That's the only good news, really, for the A-Team, right? They can't really get caught in those VP wombos again. So they're going to have to use this time in which they have a little bit of a boost wisely. They might even try to engage a team fight, right? If they let this keep fall, if they just let the enemies go through, that might be a core.
Might be, but the boss already dropped down to half health. Jaina from the other side. Water Elemental with Dahaka actually zoning away for Jaina as the BFG comes out, and Garrosh is non-existent. Stugos also non-existent. He gets crossfired.
And that is the worst case scenario for the A-Team. They lost the support and the main tank. What is there really to keep their core safe and sound? They're losing even more members right now. SPT is cleaning house, and they're going to take this first game, Tetcher, without breaking much of a sweat.
They will. Blaze charge for good measure. Void Prism as well to prevent the Keep from shooting at his allies as they chase down Bruiser.
Wow.
And down goes the core. SPT taking game number 1.
Anyone